everyone, Ment here, doing a quick little live lesson on Charlie Christian. In this lesson, I wanted to focus on one of his tunes called Holy Cats. It's a simple little 12-bar blues in G, but there's lots to learn from the head and how we can kind of use that to inform our lead playing. Before I get into that, though, I'd like to talk a little bit about the two courses I've got. My first course on Charlie Christian is called Charlie Christian Playing the Blues. This course looks at 4 of his solos over blues progressions from the album Genius of the Electric Guitar. And it talks about all the different things that he does. He has the exact transcriptions and we walk through the solos. And we just kind of talk about how he works out of different chord shapes, uses different arpeggios based out of shapes, and kind of how he just uses a lot of the blues language we know from the swing era that he and guys like Lester Young developed. So that's all about that one, and that's a nice overview of his playing, and you kind of get to start playing the solos. We talk about his technique of playing a lot of mainly downstrokes, like 95% downstrokes. And then the other one is creating lines in the style of Charlie Christian. And this one is a cool lesson, I think, because it extrapolates a few of the ideas from my first course, and just if you listen to Charlie Christian in general. And takes 4 licks, and we move them through a bunch of different ways of how we can move them around. So, for instance, there's 4 sections, each has a lick, and what we'll do in like the first section is we'll take the lick, and it's like, I think it's 1.5, 2 bars long, and we'll move it all around in different ways. We'll like rearrange it. So, we'll take the front of the lick and put it at the end. We'll take the middle of the lick, put it at the front. All different things like that. We'll reverse, the first part of the lick and then play the rest of the same. Just different ways of kind of hearing, the same pool of notes and the same grouping of notes, but kind of get the most bang for your buck with it. So we do that. We talk about how you can mess around with the rhythms, and we talk about how he uses a lot of different chord grips to play actual solos out of. So like the very famous Charlie Christian line, that kind of thing is a G leading to a C7, and it's literally just playing the chord grips. So we talk about that and how we can take, those base ideas of these chord grips and look at the notes that are in them and then go, okay, that's, a B, F, A, and D. Well, I can make all those notes right here. And that happens to be a spot where Charlie Christian does play a lot of licks out of. That and things of that nature, but you can take that and move it all around in your playing, and that's a really important thing to be able to kind of like move the chords around and move the different areas of harmony around. So there's all of that, and then the last section is talking about just a simple chord shape. And for instance, let me show you something real quick. If we've got a G7, right, talking about all the notes we can add to it. So we could add the 9 to it. We could add the 13 to it. We could add the flat 5 to it. We could add the flat 9 to it. And it's talking about like making licks out of that. So, you could go. So that was me just playing up the 9. If I wanted to, I could play the flat 9. All sorts of different things of that nature. And that's just, we work through a lick and then just put it through all of that. So that's kind of what those 2 courses are based on. And what I'll do here at the end of this, and I'll tell you real quick, if you go to my site now, you can buy those courses and get 10% off each one, as well as if you buy one and buy the other, there's another percentage that takes off too. So you get a nice little discount. Just at checkout, use the code on all caps, live lesson. No space, just all thing. And I'll put that in there in a second here. But anyway, let's get to this. So Holy Cats, it's a blues in G. We're working out of, this G chord right here. It's a G triad. And we're just coming up and playing. So it's this nice kind of almost chromatic line of going G, F, E, E minor, D. Which is... there's a lot of stuff going on, but really it's just kind of a string of notes just heading down, so you could think chromatically after this F. But really kind of what's happening is we're playing G, G7, C, C minor, back to G. And it's like, where am I getting those notes? Well, the top note, that's G. Then we could do a G7 here if we wanted to. We could do then a C. It's like a C triad. And then C minor triad to highlight that flat 9. Or, sorry, it's flat 9. Why did I say that? Minor third. Excuse me. And then back to the G with the D at the top. So and then when we get to that point in the progression, we're at our C chord. So now it's so there we've got C, C minor, back to G. So real quick, we already see a different source of harmony for the blues. We're playing G, G7, C, C minor, G, 2, 3, 4, G7. Then we've got C or C7, C minor, then back to G. So it already makes our blues a little more interesting because we're adding different harmony to it. So if I was just playing it kind of in like comping chords, I might go like, then down to the minor, then back up to the G. So we already have, some cool little harmonies going. So we've got so that part, pretty sneaky. We come back to the G. Then when we get down to that D flat, or I'm going to call it a C sharp in this case, what we're doing here is adding a quick 2 chord. So the 2 chord in G is A, or A7. And what that is doing is leading us into the 5 chord, which is the D7. So again, this melody, this head of this tune is giving us all this really great information to kind of start making lead lines and ideas off of. So we've got this, and that C when we drop down to is the flat 7 of D. So it works really nicely. So G, A7, D7, then back to B for the G. And you don't have to think of the A7 every time. That's not like written into the changes. The typical tune is just a D7, a G to a D7. So what we got so far is this 1, 2, 3. Right? So those are all of ideas. So a quick recap, we've got G, G7, C, C minor, G. To the G7, we've got C or C7, then C minor, then G. Yes, I'm going to do that in a second. And then an A7, then we have D7 or D, and then back to G. So if we take all of those ideas and the style of it, you get something like this. I'll play the head, then go into it so you have the context. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. There's that minor. Minor again. So that's some ideas of just using kind of that traditional Charlie Christian phrasing and really talking about the rhythm and swinging, but still emphasizing those notes that are really changing through the head of the tune. So let's just talk about it right off the bat of the song. If I want to play this like G, G7, C, and then the C minor back to G, I'm going 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That was really a simple idea. I'm just playing. No crazy line or anything, but it's highlighting the harmony of playing that G, G6 or G7, C, C minor back to G. Here's something else you might go. 1, 2, 3. And that was me just playing a little more of it, and I just came down all of those notes that's in the head of the tune, then back to G, and then I did a little lead line to C7, and when I got to the C7, I did a traditional kind of Charlie lick like that. He liked to play a lot of those triplets on this kind of chord shape where you go, or something of that nature. But that's kind of the phrasing of it. So let's try something else. And you don't have to highlight every time. Sometimes it's really effective not to. So you might do 1, 2, 3. Now I might highlight. Quoted the melody. So there's all of those kind of ideas that you can do, and you don't have to do them every time, but it's nice to kind of get them in your playing, get them in your ear by following kind of the pattern of the melody. So take those ideas with you for that 4 minor chord. Now I kind of want to talk quickly about this preceding A7 to this D7. So if you're joining the Holy Cats melody, we've got to the C, to the C minor, to the A7, to the D7. It's that kind of thing. So what we can do, that you can actually hear him in the song, he outlines this up here though, and I want to do it down here because we're over here, but he plays just a simple arpeggio off of it. It's a diminished arpeggio. You can play C sharp, E, G, B flat. Or you can do it right here, C sharp, E, G, B flat. And that's just playing an A7 flat 9 down to a D7. And don't let the flat 9 scare you, it's just a diminished chord. Move it down. So if we're playing, you could take the arpeggio and run it into the D7 and go. And that's just me playing up the arpeggio, releasing to the A, which is, the 1 of A, or 5 of D. And then just playing through D7, my grip right here. And resolving it. You don't have to even play the change. You could play the A7, which would be cool, and then you can play some blues and kind of like hit the D7, but kind of not. So you might go. That's pretty swinging too. So maybe let me play a full solo in context of it. So we might go. So something of that nature can get you back to there. But again, you're just kind of dropping it in really quickly and then moving right along with it. You're not, creating this whole huge big thing with it. So that is taking a bunch of ideas from the head of a tune and just putting them right into your playing and following kind of the outline of it. And again, you don't have to do it every time. If you listen to the rhythm section, they're just playing a straight 12 bar in G. Nothing fancy about it. But again, it opens up the playing a little more. And all these devices that are in this song are in Charlie's playing. And they're, I believe he helped write this song. So there you have it. It's all there. It's all from him too. So that's kind of a little teaser of kind of stuff I talk about, but really more of like getting into his playing rather than kind of looking at tunes. But both are really good. And I think once you get kind of a handle on his playing, go learn some of his tunes, which they're all pretty much blueses or rhythm changes, and you kind of see where he's, dropping those things in the melody and whatnot. So if you have any questions, go ahead and please shoot me a comment. If not, I'll get out of here. But I'll wait a second, get a drink of coffee. Holy Cats is a really cool tune. I'll play one more time if you got anything. What we got here? Can you play a swing chord progression in the... No, I'm not going to do that right now, just because it's kind of not the scope of it. But there is some stuff in the works of playing a swing chord progression, kind of with the Freddie Green grips, but that's on down the line. So check those courses out, and again, use the code, all caps, no space, live lesson, and you can get 10% off each course, as well as if you buy one course, you already get 1% off, so more money saved. It's a good thing. I'll put this up on YouTube for later review, and appreciate you guys coming and checking out. Thank you.